Hey guys, sorry. Hey guys, it's your boy MKS here, back again, back here with part. Sorry, that was in foreign slip. With part three of this series um, about my plans for Egypt, facilitating networks between Africa and Asia. Other than me going red, I know I normally drink a lot of tea, but I think with the weather being quite warm. People might think hot drinks don't actually cool you down, but they do. Apparently, they do cool you down. So I've been told. I think that's because it's quite warm. Although my body doesn't always feel that warm compared to other people, but I still feel a bit sort of thirsty. So that's one of the reasons why I'm drinking as much tea as usual, probably even more. So anyway, hope someone out there, or as many people as possible, will like this list. Even though I've just embarrassed myself, probably very red. And I haven't planned it as well as possible. And as I said before, I hope not to repeat myself too much. But anyhow, so I hope for Egypt to facilitate as many events as possible. And so continuing on with the list, number 21, again, hope for Asian and African nations to talk about what they have in common, learn from each other's history, and talk about what they want to achieve. To recap some of the ideas I was talking about, but generally what they hope to achieve and how they hope to help people from Asia and Africa to network and to share their products, market, and talk about how to support their writers, authors, artists, directors, film stars, producers, and whatever else. So as many projects as possible. Number 22. I think I messed up when I did this list today. I really wanted to do another Egypt list. I was looking at that. I think out of all the days I could have chosen, I'm sure I did it last Tuesday, and I probably should have chosen a different day because I know I like to do different things on different days. So like, I love to on Monday talk about how banks, businesses, and so forth can network together, and also say much similar on Tuesday, and sort of things like alliteration, like things that begin with T, like tourism. For some reason, when I think of Tuesday and Thursday, I often think of YouTube. I don't know why, because obviously that starts with a Y, but I think of YouTube. So anyway, I'll say so on Wednesday it will be like writing or write authors and all that. So these networks would sort of look at all those projects that I hope to work on and unite together, not just Asian nations with each other, or not just African nations with each other, but not Asian nations just with other Asian nations, and African nations just with other African nations, but Asian and African nations together. As ever, I hope that makes sense. And I was thinking, actually, I forgot to say in the intro, if anyone wants to do a reaction on it, my videos, if I dare, I'm probably going to get a lot of people taking the mic. I imagine, but fair enough. If anyone wants to do reaction videos on like how I repeat things or whatever it is, or what stupid things I say or do when I do live videos, especially, I'm all game for it. So if you want to do live reactions and take the mic, or even maybe, you never know, maybe they'll be more flattering than I think. I don't know, doubt it, but you never know. But please feel free to do any reactions on my videos and all that sort of stuff, as long as you like. Obviously include that who the channel's for, maybe post a link, which would be great as well. Although I suppose if you do a reaction, people might think there's no point in watching this guy's videos if they already do reactions, but anything to help me get as many views as possible would be great as well. And if you want me to do reactions on your videos, please post a link and let me know as well. If and when I can, I will do as well. Especially Asian and African YouTubers, or answer a call, like YouTubers of color generally, or YouTubers I think are good people or ethical people. I'll do reactions because hopefully that will help you. If I did reactions on other YouTubers, hopefully that will help you to get more views as well. So obviously it will help you out, all being well. Number 23, again, I hope they can look at how to tackle poverty, fundraise for projects like GoFundMe's and crowdfunding, and look at again how banks and other businesses, perhaps bigger businesses, can train up and invest in especially young people from Africa and Asia. Like maybe Microsoft could train people from Africa in technology. And I was thinking like the Giving Pledge, especially in August, because that's like my birth month. I'd love to have like so a lot of charitable events and people. I This may be too ambitious, but I was thinking, like, imagine if companies, especially big companies, perhaps, or companies that can afford to do so, maybe for their PR. Just trying to avoid any other fraudulent slips, whatever you call them. If any other, if any company, sorry, big companies like Walmart or Microsoft or IBM or Oracle, Apple, or ExxonMobil, or whatever other companies donate to like the Giving Pledge, or the world's billionaires or people who have signed up to the Giving Pledge, or even just companies generally, like if they could donate like a month's salary every August, specifically like to things like African tech or projects in Asia like science, help young girls to get into science or things like that, or help empower girls in business in Asia or Africa or whatever. Tech for Africa would be a big one, for instance. So it's specifically targeted to those things, so it will be guaranteed to help them in the long term, hopefully, all being well. That's the plan. So I hope to like encourage the Giving Pledge to give those specific things, so it's targeted to help people specifically in African technology or in entrepreneurship, or get into politics, or learn about things, or to educate girls or things like that. And similar for Asia, like so the Giving Pledge would specifically go towards those things, medical aid or war trade or things like that. And also like to tackle poverty. And again, I hope Egypt will facilitate a lot of these things, of how Asian and African businesses can get funding, or how the Giving Pledge or aid or charity money coming into Asia and Africa could be used. Philanthropist money could be used, and make sure it goes towards actually making sure that it does empower, say, young entrepreneurs or people like that, or disadvantaged people, disabled people, girls to get a good education, or things like that. And I love to support Asian and African female entrepreneurs, and especially African women in tech, as I've talked about before, like leadership roles. So again, Egypt could perhaps talk about a lot of these goals and how to help those different nations to achieve their goals, and what they can learn from each other, and how they can support each other. So China says, for instance, it wants to tackle poverty, and India has certain goals. Hopefully, it can help China and India to work together, and instead of going against each other, they can work together, like to tackle things like coronavirus or water shortages or things like that. Anyway, things like that. So I don't want to be too long on one specific point, because then it will video might be too long. But please ask me any questions on any point that you want to ask, and that sort of thing, or any questions you like, or any comments as ever. 24. Again, I hope for each Asian and African nation to talk about what they want to get out of these events, these summits, conferences, and so forth. So they can all put forward their ideas about what they want to achieve and things like that. 25. Again, hope support projects like Tech Republic Africa and things like that, and how Asian and African nations can come together and look at what they have in common and that sort of thing. 26. Also anti-imperial events and things like countries that were colonized, like Ireland, Argentina, China, or divided, like, so countries that have been split up, divided, whatever we call it, like how they can network together, like Argentina, Ireland, Spain, Morocco, funny enough, which I say funny enough because it was actually divided by Spain, but yeah, so hopefully Morocco would benefit more from some of those events. But anyway, and that sort of thing. Again, discussing anti-imperialism, or Egypt could also host debates. Can't seem to speak properly, but debates between like about reparations and other such issues. 27. Again, hope support encourage like Asian and African nations, as many as possible, as many people as possible from Asia and Africa, and from around the world. I hope to be an ambassador for Italian football, because I suppose I'm a bit biased because I support Italian football, so I hope to market it as well. So and Celtic as well. So I thought I'd put forward that point, since I'm talking about my ideas. 28. I hope this will help Egypt and Asian and African nations generally to turn some of the negatives into positives. Again, discussing ideas and working together and looking at how they can empower each other. And hopefully these ideas will get the ball rolling, and then eventually they'll work out. 29. I hope to encourage people like Blasians, people who are part Black and part Asian, to visit Egypt symbolically, because like Egypt is a transcontinental country between Asia and Africa. So symbolically, that's similar to Blasian's background, which is part African and part Asian. Again, hope that makes sense. And number 30, again, hope for Asian and African nations to talk about what sort of events they would want to have, and Egypt to talk about what potential events, and people to work together from across Asia and Africa to talk about how to benefit each other. And hopefully these events will benefit all Asian and African nations, and especially Egypt. I think that covers everything. I hope this video wasn't too long or cringeworthy, sorry, can't even speak properly, or embarrassing, or repetitive or whatever. Anyway, please let me know what you think, and hopefully I'll improve my speech. I'll get some elocution lessons or something. Anywho, I'm out. Peace and love.